Okay, well, this is going to be a bit of a different mood video. So this may seem like a downer, and I've already posted many times, blah blah blah, but this is more motivational, hopefully. So, there have been times where I've snapped back. There's a term for it, but whiplash back or whatever, where I just don't bother to really tell people what's going on and so on, and I just kind of keep going, bottling up, let it build, and from there it just everything crashes, it breaks, and I snap back after the bazillion times someone's done something and people look at me like I'm the bad guy. Why are you reacting like this after they've just done a BS thing over and over and expect me just to take it? And when I'm done taking it, they go, oh, this guy's reacting badly, and etc. and so forth. So over the years, I've been doing this literally as it just popped into my lap, and I wasn't the one that chose it, but that's fine. I'm willing to take on the challenge, and that's where I'm coming in on. So this is more of a message for those that have been going through what I've been doing, or have been going through the same BS that I've experienced over and over again. It's tough. You will lose players at times. You will gain players at times. You will gain sympathetic players at times, and you will gain players that say they're sympathetic but they're really not, and so on and so forth. This is more, if you couldn't tell, this is more for community leaders than anything. So from my experience, there are players that just kept on being really fickle, kept giving excuse after giving excuse after giving excuse, and got tired. The shop was tired of me trying to put on events where I would try to have them come by. I even gave them free rides / where I'm paying for the gas and they don't have to pay a cent, and so on and so forth. So you might be in this situation. It's very similar. You might be in a situation where you're fed up. You want to quit. You want to step back. But you know you are the only anchor, or in one of the only strong anchors within the community. And if you step back, the community will fall and will be very much dead. It will die and will have a very hard time being brought back. And that's kind of a situation where I'm in right now, because I've seen it happen, and some people have seen it happen. Now the community is recovering a little bit after a bit of realization that they kind of messed up. Now it sucks because as a community leader, if you call out people, it looks badly on you and the community. But it's hard to do, because when you're trying your best and people tend to take for granted. So when you're trying your best and people tend to take for granted your work, your dedication, your sometimes draining your own personal money when you could be saving and want to do a trip or something. You're giving up a lot of your own, for lack of a better term, pleasurable items that you want, and pleasurable activities that you want to take part in, like playing video games or playing a game with your friends online, or giving up your own personal life. Sometimes that includes with family, and just snowballs into that scenario. And there's a lot of things that you tend to give up on. Now it's hard to do without extra leaders that are willing to do your job for you or lessen that load. Problem is, they don't do it. Even by a lesser workload, they find that too much, so they don't do it. But I will say there is a light at the end of the tunnel. There is. And you can take all the social, mental beatings, sometimes physical if it gets to that. All you want. What you gotta do is get up, dust yourself off, figuratively speaking, learn from the mistake or learn from the experience, and move on, and basically walk on, never look back. But when you do, you do have to remember, you don't have to look back. You don't have to really reminisce, but learn from the experience and keep it in your head as of not to repeat said incident, not to have that same incident repeat. So you take measures, you take all the precautions that you need so that never happens again. Whether or not you give warning for other players, going, look, this is what happens, I don't appreciate it, let you know in advance. Sometimes people don't like that, and so on. But there is a light at the end of the tunnel. Whatever form it takes, you take that head on. You take what you can get, you get stronger for it. For basically, it's the same terminology of whatever doesn't kill you makes you stronger. Yeah, so you have to walk on, forge ahead with all this. Sorry, I'm quoting Final Fantasy 14, but yeah, it's kind of unscripted, more unscripted than usual. So when you try and get right down to the nitty gritty here, but it's hard to do that when the thought process is all over the place. All I can say is find someone that you're able to convey some of your darker thoughts and your emotions that won't be thinking that you're the villain, that will understand your side of it, and so on. If you have a workplace that you work with that is very supportive of it, very supportive of it, all the better. But usually find someone that you're able to trust and just vent to them every now and then. But know that you have to keep going, keep walking on, forge ahead, and learn from the mistakes and learn from the past. And that way you can try to, every chance you get, to plan for said incidents. So whether that means the people that you said to that you can depend on them, don't depend on them again. For those that said you can, they'll be there or whatnot, don't count them to be there. Just plain and simple. And some people will take harshly to that. It's like, well, why didn't you call me? Why didn't you think of me for said thing? And it's like, you kind of have to tell them straight up, look, I can't depend on you anymore. You've proven that time and time again. So what am I supposed to do? I can't depend on you and anymore. You've given me no choice. So you have to keep going. You don't have to be strong. You can be strong-willed. You can be stubborn. You can not really give up even though you want to. And trust me, I've learned from my own experience, I wanted too many times. But you have to keep going. People do notice. People do notice hard work. They do notice the determination. Whether it's for good or ill, they notice it. Whether or not you have enemies or friends or not, they will notice. And whether or not they like you or not, they'll have respect for you. And that's actually something that's kind of interesting to have and good to have. Whether or not you are friends with someone or not, but if you can have a mutual respect for one another, have a weird camaraderie about it. They will defend you for the amount of work you do till the cows come home, and same for you for them. But they won't like you. But anyone that doubts your hard work, oh yeah, no, they'll defend you outright. And it's something nice to have. I will admit that I've experienced it. It's nice to have. It's kind of like keep your friends close but your enemies closer type deal. Yeah, so at the end of this, I'd say keep your head up. It's hard, I get it. Very hard. And you can feel like you're about to basically give up. Why should you keep doing this? No one appreciates my hard work. No one wants me anymore to do this stuff. No one thinks it should work. And so on. But do what you know how to do. Do what you know best. Do what works. Do what you learn that doesn't work, and do what you know that does. Sorry, don't do what you know doesn't work, but do what you know that does work. Try to get more input, whether or not you have to be direct about it, or to sometimes fish it out of people in some way or another, or you get someone to talk to others to get that direct message. I don't like suggesting you use someone as an owl, but if that's the only option you have left, you're kind of stuck. So, always learn, always practice, and best way to do it, practice what you preach. And it's hard to do, a lot of it, but people respond majority of the time positively about that. If they don't like what you say, but you practice what you preach, a lot of times, they can say you don't lie. They can say you don't half-ass, you don't do things halfway. So that's usually a good sign that regardless if they like you or not, that they have a huge respect for you and your work. So, to conclude all this, keep your head up, walk on, forge ahead, and have someone by you to support you when you need it. Whether or not as a family member, very close friend, cousin, aunt, uncle, whatever. That, I mean, really rant. I mean, like, just let it go. Let all that anger, frustration, everything go. And once it's done, once you get that out there in a way more secure stuff, now I'm on the talk, because I've done it publicly, but I've done way worse privately with close friends and family. Way worse. And from speaking from experience, when you get all off your shoulders, it feels good. Although you just burst out into rage, it feels good to just let it out with someone that's able to understand where you're coming from. This is not an easy endeavor. This is not that much of a job or position that requires just sit back, relax, and let it do its thing. No. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of work, dedication, and being a little bit stubborn to keep going. And people may not like how you do things. You can't please everyone. And that's just part of life. You have to roll with the punches. You have to roll with what you know and whatever works. So, I just keep your head up. I know I've repeated this a bunch of times, but forge ahead. That's all you can do. Forge ahead and keep going and have that one or two person support that you need. And remember, when it comes to the community here, you have to remember that even though people have issues with like the company or so on, with whatever, they're human too. They have feelings too. It's not just a one-sided thing where they're like, I am robot, I have to serve. No, they do their best. They really do. There's very few instances where companies respond effectively and to the community or otherwise. And sometimes you have to actually reach out saying, hey, I'm actually right here. We're trying to do something. Like, you have to reach out. You have to tell them you're doing things and you would like some form of support. Like, it's not just we do things and you don't post anything about it and you expect the world to just hand you things. You have to work for it. Like I said, being a community leader in whatever form it takes, of any community actually for that matter, but that's specifically for Final Fantasy, the TCG, being a community leader is not easy peasy. It's not just sit back and let it do its thing. You have to communicate with your local store. You have to communicate with Square Enix, i.e., from posting things where you know they can see it. You have to be vocal about stuff. You have to keep going on and work towards it. And honestly, this is an interesting way to do it, but advertise. Whatever form it takes, just start taking pictures, taking video, work towards this. Say you're a group, you have things going on, and honestly, that works. It works for a lot of communities that have been doing it, mine included. People may not like it, but it's got the results, and that's only because I'm able to host a store championship, essentially. I don't think anything like that would have been chosen if I didn't post anything. No one would have really known about Kingston or Action Pack even having a Final Fantasy community or otherwise if I didn't post things. And that's what is going on. Like, I'm running multiple different events, multiple different groups. So, though I do feel lucky that I have a couple bosses at Action Pact where I work part-time that are very supportive, that know where I'm coming from, that know why I'm trying to do what I do, and they're trying to teach me bit by bit as things go on, because they've been down that road. They've been down what I've been doing. They've been down trying to do all this stuff, and they're teaching me from their own experience. Now, there's a little bit of school of hard knocks, but that's like, knock on wood, right? So, but it's not easy. And I know that full well, as you will know that full well. But keep going. Keep your head up, and know that there's people behind you, from all of us that are other community leaders that may not agree with how you're doing things, but we all have respect for each other. If you're new and upcoming, reach out to us. We can tell you tips and tricks that we've seen and done that works in some ways. And if it works for you, great. If it doesn't, okay, you have another group of people that can give you tips and tricks. You're not alone in this. You're not like the one-man army per se anymore. You have a supportive, like, generals or so that, so to speak, that have their own groups and armies, quote unquote, that can rally and support you as best they can from where they are. And that's a lot, like, yes, locally feels a lot better, but no, you're not alone. Community leaders from all over know what you've been going through. They've been there time and time again. So if you're feeling down, feeling depressed, we get it. Just know we're behind you. We're behind you 100% of the way, in whatever form it takes. You're not alone, and you're going to be supported in one form or another. So, like I said, it was a downer at the beginning of this, but I feel it's going to be something that's good. And it's meant to be uplifting. It's meant to give you encouragement. It's meant to give you strength that you're not alone in this endeavor anymore. Some of us have done this thinking that we don't have anything backing us up. We don't have any support. But you do. You absolutely 100% do. And it's a lot. Sometimes the world's it's a lot smaller place than what it seems like. Now it's a lot bigger than that at the same time, but in the Final Fantasy community, for the TOs and the community organizers and leaders, we have each other's back in one way or another, and that honestly is our ultimate weapon against all, like, the naysayers, all the people that say, oh, this isn't going to work, or so on. We all have that, and it's our strength. It's our ability to know that we have the willpower to keep going, and you can have that too. Or you, not just you can, you will have that. And know that, like I said, know that us other community leaders and organizers have your back. And if you do hard work, the shop will have your back. So hard work, forge on, keep going, forge ahead, and you'll get results. They won't be right away, and they won't be immediate, but you'll get results. So finally we come to the end about all this. If my words did anything for you to give you confidence or to give you reassurance, that's great. But know that even if it didn't, if you took something positive away from this, that's all the better. Remember, there's a silver lining in a lot of things. Try to look for them, even in the darkest days. And even with depression, trust me, I suffer from my own. Even in the darkest days, blackest of nights, you have to remember that there's always that sliver of light that you can see that can give you that confidence that you know you can build on. And that's honestly, that's about all I can say. I've said what I needed to, and hopefully it's helped. And like I said, reach out. Us community leaders and tournament organizers for all this stuff have been through it. Reach out. If you need support in some way, we can provide it. If you need support emotionally, we may not be the best option, but if you have no other options, feel free to just find someone and just say, hey, I'm going to vent. This isn't directed at you, but I'm just going to vent. Some of us will be there, but you have to make sure that tell us ahead of time. Okay? So it's not easy. So I'll end this here. But keep your head up, walk on, forge ahead. And know that every other community leader and tournament organizer has your back. So those of you that are starting out, we wish you great luck, and we'll be behind you 100% of the way. And with that, I'll end the video there. So from Digger here, from the OSS, and to all of you out there, new and veterans, keep going on. This is Digger, signing out.